All right, bladesmiths, your blades were tested. They've been evaluated, the judges have deliberated, and here are the standings. In fourth place, we've got Gary earning 1 point. In third place, Gene, you earned 3 points. And our first place competitor is Chad. You got 10 points, buddy. Matt, that leaves you with 6. Everybody's done fantastic work, and now it's time for our second event. All right, gentlemen, over here on our pantry shelves, we've got stacks of 15 and 20 and 10.95 steel. What does that mean, gentlemen?
Damascus.
That's right. This is a Damascus challenge, and it's going to be made even more tough because in our second event, you're not making just one blade, you're making 2 throwing knives. Gentlemen, do your best. Your 3 hour starts now.
I've never made a throwing knife, so today's gonna be my first and second throwing knife. I'm taping up my ruler so I can't screw up my perimeters. All I gotta do is stay between these 2 blue lines and I'm golden.
If you start with good steel, it makes it a better possibility of getting good welds. The only kind of throwing weapon I've ever made before was a tomahawk, and that's not at all the same.
I designed kind of a throwing knife, got a good tip on it, but it's also gonna have a lot of meat so that you can really feel it when you're throwing it.
I really want to focus on keeping it simple, just really trying to meet the parameters. It's a tall order, but I feel confident in my skills. So I'm satisfied with the taking of my weld. So now it's time to dance with Big Blue. Me and Big Blue, we got a relationship now. You know, we're pretty tight. I actually narrow it down in the center, and I'm gonna draw out the handles. At this point, everything's going great. Couldn't be happier.
So it looks like my billet's up to heat.
I'm gonna set my welds with a hammer.
It's a lot more cautious approach to me to set it by hand, but you know, I can't be too careful at this point. I can really be particular on exactly where I hit the billet and not been too violent by going over to Big Blue and just smashing the heck out of it.
I really need to get the billet nice and hot so that these pieces will all forge well together. So I don't want to rush this part of the process.
If they don't set, I'm not gonna be able to get 2 knives out of the steel.
I get my steel hot and I'm over to the press.
Oh no, those welds didn't hold.
It's kind of like if you're making that big sandwich, take a big bite and everything comes out the other damn end and it's all over the floor. So now I'm looking at my billet. It's not forge welded and I'm gonna have to figure this out right now. I can't come in fourth because that's gonna put me out of the competition. This time I get it really hot and allow the width of that die to sandwich it down. I do feel like it's starting to weld to itself, which is the ultimate goal, but it's gonna have to go right back in the heat. I'm gonna have to repeat this process a few times before I can really start drawing this out.
My game plan is try to get these 2 knives as similar as possible.
Now I have 2 identical throwing knives at 12 inches long. I realize that they're real heavy. I want them heavy. You have to throw them real hard, but man, do they stick, and they make a really loud thunk.
So I finally get my steel drawn out, cut them in half. I want to quench my blades early, so that's going to guarantee me a hard edge. I wouldn't call them knives yet. They're more like bricks.
I feel good, but I know that it's still really anyone's game. I make the decision to just quench the tip, thinking that's the only critical area of the blade. I have one of my knives cooling down, so what I need to do is set up another vise at another station. So I go to the scrap bin, and I'm gonna go find 2 matching pieces of angle iron.
Ow!
I snag the inside of my left arm. I'm that guy. I'm bleeding on Forged in Fire.
I'm just gonna do a little bit of an edge quench.
There's no need for the tang or the spine of the knife to be hard. I mean, we're throwing these things around, so you don't want them to break.
As I'm starting to finish up and realizing that they're pretty similar to what I was shooting for, but things don't always work out when you only have 3 hours.
My plan is to heat treat one knife and then the other.
I'm just gonna harden maybe the last quarter of the knife, because that's the part that's gonna be digging into the wood.
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, we're down to the wire, so I'm gonna have to keep hustling, but I'm gonna work till the last second. I've got the edges kind of profiled in. It's time to start working on the handle. But the problem is the buffing belt took my edge with it.
Oh boy.
I don't have time to fix it, So here I am again, stuck with some bad on-the-spot decisions.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmiths, stop what you're doing. Shut down your machines. Drop your tools.
I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed, but I'm also relieved because I was concerned I wasn't going to be able to turn anything in.
All right, gentlemen, welcome to the knife-throwing triple threat. All right, Gene, you're up first. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Gene, right off, a lot of weight to these. It's a fairly classic shape overall for a thrower. What I do appreciate is that the handles are even in size. The handles feel the same regardless of the knife, which isn't really what I was looking for. When we moved to the harder target, this knife did take a bit of damage, and you did lose just a tip right there, just packed out a little bit. But these didn't start out with a lot of point on them anyway, but they threw well. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Chad, you're up. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do this. All right, so Chad, I think you nailed it. These are a great weight, a great size, feels super comfortable in my hand. They match really nicely. This is something that's super important in throwing. Your tips, they hit into the clay pigeons, didn't lose any tip. Just a great job all the way around. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Gary, you're up. You ready for this?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, so right off, when I looked at these, I was like, nah, I don't like them. I'm proven wrong again. These actually throw really good. I did not think this skinny dropped handle would throw well. It actually feels better like that. I was throwing them with the curve going up into my hand as opposed to down. They throw really nicely. They got a really sharp point on them. When it penetrates, it just buries itself really nicely. The back of the handle, there's a couple of spots on here that I can feel. They didn't really drag when it left my hand, but they threw really well, so good job.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, you're up next. You ready to go?
Sure. Nice. Just one down. Thanks, brother.
So, Matt, these things are heavy. These have what I like to call the brick factor. It's like throwing a brick. Doesn't matter if you hit it with point or not, whoever you hit's going down. The blades themselves don't quite match. You've got one lean blade and one wider blade. But what I do like is the handles match beautifully, and they really fit my hand well. They do have a very acute point in profile. I would have loved to have seen a little bit leaner, but man, I mean, it's hard to argue with how easy it was to get accurate with these. As far as being tough, your points are still there. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Bladesmiths, the second event in the Summer Forging Games is complete, and the judges need to have a deliberation. I remind you that after this deliberation, the person with the lowest points will be eliminated from the games. Bladesmiths, we need the forge floor. Thank you. All right, Bladesmiths, the second event in our Summer Forging Games is complete. The judges' deliberation is complete, and they have ranked your work. In first place, Chad, congratulations. That's 10 more points to you, buddy, giving you a point total of 20. In second place, Gary, our come-from-behind guy. You came out of that first round with just 1 point, and now you've made up another 6 points, giving you 7 total. Our third place finisher is Matt, congratulations. That's 3 points to you, adding to your 6 from the first event. That gives you 9 points total. And our 4th place finisher is Gene. You came in 3rd on the first event, and here, coming in 4th in the second event, gives you 1 point for a total of 4. Gene, you came out with the least number of points after 2 events. Unfortunately, at this time, you've been eliminated from the Summer Forging Games.
My knives performed poorly. The other bladesmiths did a better job, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it was a good fight, man.
Thank you, sir. I've learned a lot, and I'm just excited to go back home, put that new knowledge to work, become a better bladesmith, and hopefully come back one day and show these judges what I'm capable of.